Hello, Wonderhussy here on a beautiful, if somewhat rainy day in the gorgeous canyon country of Utah. I've been up in the Moab area for the last week hanging out with my buddy Dave, but because it's been raining on and off and Dave doesn't want to get his purty new Jeep dirty, I decided to go out and do some exploring on my own because I ain't scared of getting a little mud on my rig. I guess maybe Jeeps are more delicate than Toyota 4Runners and can't handle the kind of abuse that this weather wrought on my poor rig. Nothing a good car wash won't fix, and I'll hit that up after I finish exploring this part of the country. I mean, I'm out here anyway. I'm not gonna let the rain stop me from checking out a couple points of interest I had pinned on my map out here. And the first one is really wild. Okay, I'm at the end of this dirt road I took through what I think is BLM land, just outside Canyonlands National Park, but this is a very specific part of BLM called the Fruit Bowl. Okay, you're probably wondering why they would call a part of this beautiful and very dramatic landscape a fruit bowl. Well, I'm not sure where the name comes from, but apparently this is an area for highliners. Okay, it says Fruit Bowl Highline Area, and then it's got some warnings. Highlining is an inherently dangerous activity and presents numerous risks and hazards. Participants must have proper training, appropriate gear, and extensive rigging knowledge and experience. Okay, if you don't know what highlining is, and I didn't really until someone told me about this place. Apparently, they stretch a cable of some sort across one of these giant, vast canyons, and then these crazy people walk out onto it, okay? Like tightrope walking. I don't know the terminology. I'm new to all of this. I never even heard of highlining before, but my understanding is it's sort of like if you've ever seen like a tightrope walker at the circus where they walk da 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 and they carry that big pole for balance. I don't think these guys carry a pole. The closest thing I've ever seen to highlining is I've seen people do slacklining, which I think might be the same thing. I don't know. I was at a hot spring once that has a creek next to it, and these guys had strung kind of like a ratchet strap across the creek, and they were walking along this ratchet strap. And I mean, because it was going right over a creek, it was no big deal. If they fell off, they just fell into the creek, and it was summertime and the water was warm, and it really wouldn't have been such a big deal. Uh-oh, sounds like more rain is on the way. I better get to the edge of this canyon and check this out before I get carried away in a flash flood. Okay, we have arrived at the highline area. You can see I'm standing on the edge of a friggin' cliff. I mean, I guess that's what I'd call it. Kind of a little chasm here, a little side chasm off the main canyon, which is absolutely vast. And you can see how far down this goes and how far of a drop it would be if you fell off this highline. That's right, you know, I was just saying I saw those guys slacklining at the hot spring over a creek where if they fell the 5 feet into the water, it wouldn't have been any big deal. If you fell off a slackline here, whoo-wee, you're gonna have a bad time. Golly, listen to the echo here. Woo! Ricola! Guess I don't need to wear these sunglasses anymore. I mean, unless I get little windshield wipers for them. Anyway, I just thought this was a really interesting place, even though nobody's out here slacklining on a rainy day, and I don't even know if anyone would be out here, even if it wasn't raining, because apparently they have this big highlining event in November. I think about a month from now. I think it's right around Thanksgiving. They have this huge, presumably international highlining competition or get together, I guess maybe just sort of like a meetup, when all these crazy adrenaline junkies who like tying off high lines, and I'm not sure what high lines are made out of, from side to side of this little side canyon. And I guess they just kind of walk back and forth across this. And how do I know I'm at the right place? Oh gosh, look at the background behind me. It looks like I'm in one of those John Singer Sargent paintings. Isn't that the name of the guy who did those beautiful, iconic, dramatic Western landscapes? I feel like I'm standing right in the middle of one of his paintings. Anyway, how do I know I'm at the right place where these people tie these wires or cables or whatever it is across? Well, because you can see there's all kind of little bolts, so I guess screwed into the sandstone, like anchor points that you can tie off your high line to. And I'm guessing there's anchor points. Oh yeah, you can even see them on the other side there on that cliff. And so, I don't know, man, they must anchor it to one side and then somehow throw it across, and then somebody else ties it off on this side. And then they go tiptoeing along the line over this void. Isn't that insane? Okay, I know Moab is something of a mecca for adrenaline junkies. I mean, they have jeepers, they have mountain bikers, they have rock climbers, they have base jumpers, they have wingsuiters, and apparently they also have highliners. Man, I'm telling you, if there's a way you can spike your adrenaline and risk your life, someone will figure out how to do it and start a community for it here in Moab. Okay, I'm zoomed out into wide angle because I feel like that's just the best way to appreciate the sheer, well, I was going to say enormity, but maybe insanity is a better term to use for what these people do. I mean, look at this. I don't know how high these cliff walls are, but that's got to be, oh my God, I'm terrible with distances. 1,000 feet, and I'm kind of standing as close to the edge as I feel comfortable getting, because even though I'm not afraid of heights, they call this kind of red sandstone landscape slick rock, and being as it's raining, it's even slicker than usual, and I sure don't want to slip and fall to my death, even though I suppose you could ask for a lot worse places to die than the beautiful fruit bowl of Utah's canyon country. Okay, apologies if the audio sounds funky. I had to unplug my microphone because it was getting soggy and I think the audio was shorting out. So apologies for any audio inconsistencies in this video. I'm just gonna go all the way to the point here on the far side of the fruit bowl and then turn back so you can see or get a good idea for like the sheer insanity of this, okay? This is one side of the canyon, or I don't know what you call like a little side canyon. That's it. I mean, I guess the idea is beginners can rig their line closer in, and then the more advanced you get, the farther out you come until, boy, I guess when you've really made your bones, you anchor right down here. In fact, there is an anchor point here, and you go all the way to the other side there. Or I don't know, man, looking out even farther, maybe there's an anchor point there, and I don't know how you would stretch a line that far. Maybe there's some kind of device they use, like a t-shirt cannon or something like that, where they shoot the line across to the other side, and that's how they do it. Man, I sure would like to be here when there were some highliners doing their thing. In fact, I'd love to be here during this big highline competition about a month from now. But unfortunately, I'm here right now, and yeah, even though it's raining so hard, it screwed up my microphone, I'm still glad I came out here. I mean, if for nothing else than for this amazing Bierstadt landscape. Man, I actually have an art degree. You'd think I would know how to pronounce the name of Joseph Bierstadt. Whatever the case, the view is gorgeous, but I just think this whole highlighting situation is so bonkers that I had to come out here and check it out for myself. Whether or not anybody was here, and whether or not I was gonna get my purty white 4Runner all muddy. Anyway, there's really not much more to look at here at the Highline area, aka the Fruit Bowl. So I guess I'm just gonna make my way back to my rig, because believe it or not, there's actually one other kind of curiosity I wanted to check out while I'm out here in this gorgeous part of the country. I mean, even though it's raining and even though it's muddy, it's still absolutely spectacular. I do think it's pretty cool that the state of Utah or the Bureau of Land Management, or maybe both of them, designated a specific area for highlining. I mean, I guess they know these wackos are gonna come out here and do it, whether or not it's a specifically designated area or not. And I say wackos fondly. Anyone who is this hardcore is okay in my book. And I also think it's really cool that you can camp pretty much anywhere around here. It's all dispersed camping, which means, you know, primitive, unimproved. There's no campfire rings or tables, but there is an outhouse and you can camp out here for free. So keep that in mind if you do want to come out and watch this World Finals of highlining. I mean, I can only imagine that the people who do that kind of thing wouldn't mind spectators. I mean, what else is the point of doing something crazy like that? Anyway, let's get back in the car and head on to the next point of interest. Thankfully, the weather ended up clearing up a bit, which was a good thing because the next place I wanted to check out in Canyonlands was located at the bottom of the gorge, down a long, narrow, steep dirt road that zigzagged through a series of pretty tight switchbacks as it dropped from the top of the canyon rim deep into the interior of this rugged, mysterious, and beautiful country. I mean, seriously, it looked like something out of an old Western movie. Absolutely spectacular and dramatic enough to where the Park Service calls it a challenging backcountry road, perfect for those seeking the experience of a lifetime. And for once, the adventure actually lived up to the hype. Okay, wow, that was one of the most spectacular roads I've ever driven, and that's saying a lot. It's called the Schaefer Trail, and it's almost like driving down into the Grand Canyon, because that's basically what you're doing. Only it's not the Grand Canyon, it's one of many canyons in Canyonlands National Park. I think we're in Canyonlands National Park. We might be just outside it. I don't know. I had to go through the gate of Canyonlands to get here, but because there's a government shutdown in effect, there was nobody there to check my pass. Anyway, you're probably wondering why I braved that road and got my car all muddy just so I could park it at the edge of a cliff overlooking the beautiful, mighty Colorado River as it flows through what is presumably Canyonlands National Park. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? The mighty Colorado making its way from its headwaters in the Rocky Mountains all the way down through Lake Powell and Lake Mead, and then finally trickling to a sad end somewhere just north of Baja, California. Anyway, as beautiful as this isn't the reason I came down here. The reason I drove out to this particular point overlooking this gorgeous canyon is that this right here, somewhere where I'm parked, is the exact spot where they filmed the iconic final scene of the movie Thelma and Louise. Okay, remember Thelma and Louise, two wild women on a road trip across the West, and they get into a jam, and next thing you know, they're on the run from the police, and rather than give in, they get to the edge of the Grand Canyon, and spoiler alert, they didn't actually film that scene at the Grand Canyon, because I guess it's really hard to get a filming permit for the Grand Canyon. They filmed it here in Canyonlands, supposedly, according to Google Maps, right at this spot. I'm frankly surprised. I thought there would be some kind of little shrine or something to Thelma and Louise, you know, bunch of tchotchkes, bras. This kind of seems like the place where people would leave bras, but maybe we are in the national park, and well, we all know how that goes. They don't allow any folk art monuments in national parks, although now that I think about it, Tea Kettle Junction is in Death Valley, and that's the spot way out in the middle of the Death Valley backcountry where folks leave tea kettles. Pretty sure the Park Service goes out there every few years and collects all the tea kettles, but they don't not allow it. So I'm frankly surprised that there's nary a bra here. Oh gosh, look at my car. It looks like it's about to fall off the edge into the canyon. Wouldn't that be terrible? I'd never get out of here. Especially, I don't know if it's still raining over yonder or what, but it's going to be hairy and dicey getting back out of here. To be honest, I almost considered a boarding mission because driving down into a canyon when it's raining all around in the desert doesn't seem like the smartest thing to do. But you know what they say. Curiosity killed the hussy. And, well, I'm only out here for a little while longer. And, yeah, rain or no rain, I really wanted to see the spot. And I'm glad I did because, oh my God, how friggin' spectacular is this? Unfortunately, my solitude has been interrupted by two broncos. Which, frankly, isn't a surprise because Moab is the four-wheeling capital of the United States, and gosh, it's actually kind of a nice break to see broncos instead of jeeps, since it feels like all I've been seeing lately are jeeps. Anyway, those bronco dudes are probably just going to take a few photos of their rigs up top. Oh no, they're coming this way. Hope they don't mind a crazy woman talking to herself on this rock promontory overlooking the beautiful Colorado River at the alleged Thelma and Louise Point. Now, I haven't seen that movie in a few years, so I don't remember. You guys tell me, is this what the backdrop looked like when they filmed that scene? Okay, remember, in the movie, Harvey Keitel's the cop, and he finally caught up with them, and he sort of backed them into a corner, so to speak, or he's backed them up against the edge of the canyon. And so they're considering what they should do. Should they surrender? And then I think they hold hands and they go, no, we're going for it. And then one or the other, I can't remember who's driving, probably Susan Sarandon. She was kind of the alpha in that relationship, I feel like, steps on the gas and they drive their iconic convertible Ford Thunderbird off the edge of the canyon and then freeze frame. They don't let you see what happens after that. And so it's kind of left open to interpretation. What do you think? Do you think Thelma and Louise just crashed down into the river and died? Or do you think they miraculously landed on the other side and continued driving on their merry way to Mexico? Well, there's plenty of debate over how that movie ended. And I kind of went into it in a video I shot just the other day over across the canyon on the other side at Chicken Corner. Okay, I don't know if you watched that video I made at Chicken Corner, but I drove out that side, me and my buddy Dave, and then I hiked up to that point over there and was standing there looking across the canyon at where we are now. And in that video, I kind of went into the whole Thelma and Louise story and how there's talk in Moab. Some folk in Moab say that when they filmed that scene here, they had a hard time launching the Thunderbird off the edge of the canyon so that it would arc gracefully into the sky. You know, remember that ending? The ending is totally iconic. Well, apparently they had, according to some folk in Moab, they had two junk Thunderbirds to use for this scene. And so the first one, they had some kind of slingshot that they launched it, I guess, off the side of the canyon right here. Well, unfortunately, I guess the engine was too heavy, and so it just kind of tipped and nose dived right into the river. So they had one more backup convertible. And by the way, they couldn't use CGI for this, I guess, because back when that movie was made in the 90s, CGI was really expensive and they didn't have that budget. Oh, look, the Broncos are leaving. They got tired of a crazy woman yakking. Well, you should expect that when you come to a place called Thelma and Louise Point. Am I right? Anyway, first Thunderbird nosedived. Second Thunderbird, I guess they tried to compensate by putting something heavy in the back, and that one tipped over backwards. I don't know. They say, or at least there's one guy in Moab saying that, oh my gosh, now they needed another convertible Ford Thunderbird. Where are they going to get one? Oh, they looked all around, and Moab is a very small town, but by some miracle, according to this guy, there happened to be a garage that had an old junker Ford Thunderbird. Only I guess it wasn't a convertible. They had to actually cut the top off to make it look like a convertible. And you know how they do in the movies. You can't see it. It's from a distance. And I mean, Thelma and Louise, I have news from you. Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis were not in that car. When they launched it over the side of this canyon, no, they had two dummies, mannequins, with like plaster faces painted to look like Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis. Anyway, according to local lore, apparently they launched the third Thunderbird off the edge of the cliff and it arced perfectly into the sky. And I mean, I don't know if it just tumbled down the cliff below, landed in the river. I was kind of talking about this in my Chicken Corner video as well. I can't imagine that the Park Service would let them leave 3 junked Thunderbirds down at the bottom of this canyon. So they must have had some kind of helicopter or something to retrieve the carcasses, so to speak. But if that's the case, then you would think there would be some garage in Moab that has the wreckage of those 3 Thunderbirds. I mean, wouldn't that be an amazing tourist attraction? I don't know. The person who told me about this 3rd Thunderbird story heard it from a guy here in Moab who said that supposedly there is a garage in town that has photos on the wall of the 3rd Thunderbird when they were cutting the roof off it to make it look like a convertible. And so if that is the case, let me know. Email me, wonderhussie@gmail.com, if you know which garage in Moab actually has those photos, because I'll eat my hat, or I'll take back what I'm saying about that story probably being apocryphal. According to what I read online, they only had the budget for 2 Thunderbirds, and that's what they used. The first one didn't go in right, but the second one is the one they used. So I don't know who's telling the truth. I am partial to local lore, though, so I'm gonna go with the guy from Moab. Anyway, speaking of them retrieving the wrecked cars with a helicopter, I'm curious how they managed to get all their production equipment down here in the first place. I mean, that road that we came down from the top of the canyon was pretty gnarly. I mean, not only were there a couple creek crossings, but it was narrow and steep, and there was a lot of switchbacks. And you know how these Hollywood productions are. They got to have all these giant trucks to carry the lights and the sound equipment and the little trailers for the movie stars and the food truck. Well, you tell me how they managed to get all that crap down this windy ass road. Although, now that I think about it, this road does go through another, I think, 27 miles or so back to Moab. So maybe that direction is smoother and they came in that way. I don't know. I think I'm going to find out, though, because, well, it's already like 4:30 Utah time, and I only have about another hour and a half of daylight. So I need to get out of this canyon. As beautiful as this spot is, and as much as I'd love to spend more time blathering on about Thelma and Louise on this amazing overlook, I mean, when do you get the chance to stand at a place with a view like this? I mean, it's especially amazing because it's so peaceful and calm. You know, it's not raining anymore. The water is still as glass. The sky is even kind of blue in parts. Man, this would be an amazing place to camp out overnight. I'm not sure if that's allowed or not. Golly, you think I would look at my map before I make a video like this and figure out if I'm in the national park or not. But you know how it is. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. Anyway, like I was saying, as much as I'd like to stay out here all day, evening, and night, unfortunately, I need to get back to a paved road before it gets dark or before it starts raining again and those creeks I had to cross become rivers. You know, I mean, I ain't trying to drive across something like this. I mean, my Forerunner is capable, but it ain't that capable. So, unfortunately, I guess I'm just gonna head back to my rig and try to figure out what I should do. I mean, what do you guys think? This is like a choose your own adventure novel. You guys can help me decide which route should Wonderhussy take. Should Wonderhussy go back the way she came, all the way up that steep, narrow, zigzaggy, switchbacky, muddy road? Or should she try to go this way in the hopes that the road is better? Well, gosh, it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because the direction I'm going, I guess, would kind of make more sense to go back that way. But if this is easier, I'm happy to backtrack a little bit. I don't know, man. It's kind of a case of the devil you know versus the unknown. What if it's even muddier up ahead? What if it's even steeper, even narrower up ahead? Oh! Actually, I guess I technically have 3 options from here. Okay, 1, I can go back the way I came. 2, I can try going out this way. Or 3, I can do like Thelma and Louise and just drive right over the edge of this cliff and be done with everything. What do you guys think? Woo! Nah, I'm not that crazy. Although I'm glad I was crazy enough to drive down here even when it's raining and muddy, because it really wasn't that bad of a road, and this place is absolutely amazing. Anyway, whichever way I decide to go out, that way or that way, if you're watching this video, well, you know I survived.